Mathematics made easy, no more fear. Target online class, we got you. Wherever you want it from, we got what you need. Target online class.
Good day, viewers all over the world. You are welcome to Troy the online class. Today we want to continue with the topic bearing and distance. Bearings and distance. So we've actually started this topic. And I said for us to be able to have in-depth knowledge about bearing and distance, the knowledge of the sine rule and cosine rule will be required. So in our previous class, I gave about 3 examples. You can check my video on bearings and distance 1. So today we are going to continue from where we stopped. So let's take another example under bearing and distance. So let's say this is example 1 for this class. The bearings of ships A and B from a port P are 225 degrees and 116 degrees respectively. So that is what we are given. That the bearings of ships A and B from a port P are 225 and 116 respectively. Ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B on a bearing of 258 degrees. The question now says calculate the distance of ship A from P. That is the question. So let's look at this question very well. Let's digest this question and interpret it correctly. So this is what we are given. So how do we solve this problem? That is what we have. The bearing of ship A from ship B. From the bearing of ship A, the bearings of ships A and B from a port are 225 degrees and 116 degrees respectively. Okay. The bearing of A and B from a port. So let's try and interpret this question. Let's say this is the port. That's the port. This is the port P. So there are 2 bearings here from this port. Bearing of ship A is 225 degrees and that of B is 116. So let's start with A. This is the north. Of course, we said in our previous class that if you are starting bearing, you are starting from the North Pole. If it is 3 digits, these are 3 digits bearing. Or if it is compass bearing, you just start from south and north or south. You either move clockwise or anti-clockwise. But in case of 3 digits bearing, it is compulsory that you start from the north and you must move clockwise. You can check my videos. You can check my video on bearings and distance 1. So for A, ship A 225. This will be 90. To the South Pole is 180. Then we extend it by 45 to get 225. So let's say this is ship A. This is ship A. Therefore, ship B is 116. From here to here is 90. 90 minus this. Then we extend this to 26. You're going to get ship B. This is the second ship B. This is here will be 26 degrees. Okay, that is what you're going to have. That's what you're going to have. Yeah, but you know what? We can actually know the total. We can know everything here, the angle here, because this is 225 minus 116. Here is 9. I left it 1 here. 1 minus 1 is 0. That's so the total angle here will be 109. We know the angle between ship A and ship B. We'll be able, we have gotten that. So let's continue with the question. So we now have that ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. Ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. Okay, ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. Let's say this is ship A. Ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. So we trace it to B. This is 3.9 kilometers. That's what we are given. Ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. On a bearing of 258 degrees. On a bearing of 258 degrees. So how do we get that? Ship A is 3.9 kilometers from ship B. That is ship A from ship B. From ship B is 3.9 kilometers. On a bearing of 258. So from here is 90. Then to here is 180. How do we get 258? So up to this point now, that simply means that this place will be 78. To get 258, this place will be 78. So this is 258 to ship B, 258 degrees. Then 258 minus 270. The smaller angle here to the west direction is 12. That will be 12. That makes it 270. If this place is 26, the alternate angle here will also be 26. So 26 plus 28, the whole angle here will be 38 degrees. That is what I want us to know. That whole angle will be 38 degrees. So the question says we should find the distance of A from P. The distance of A from P. The distance of A from P. That is the angle that faces ship B. That will be small b. Here will be small p. And here will be small a. So the question is very simple and straightforward. But our inability to be able to interpret it correctly will actually affect everything that has to do with bearing. So this is the question. And this is what we have been able to interpret. So if you don't interpret it correctly, you are not going to get the answer. So the bearing of two ships, A and B, from a port P are, so the starting point is P, because it's from point P are 225 and 116. So these are 3-digit bearing. 3-digit bearing. We don't have anything in form of compass here. These are 3-digit bearing. So you have to start from the North Pole and you move clockwise. And that's what we have done here. 225 and 116. So between north and east is 90. East and south, 90. South and west, 90. Then west and north, 90. So this is what we have been able to do. So how do we get the distance from ship A to P? And that is B. Of course, I know angle P and side P. I know angle B. I'm looking for side B. I'm going to apply sine rule. So I'll just say using sine rule. I know that P all over sine P will be equal to B all over sine B. That is what I know. So what is P? P is 3.9 all over sine 109 is equal to B. That's what we are looking for. All over sine 38 degrees. Let's look at it very well. That's what we are going to get. Then from there, we know that sine is positive at the second quadrant. So sine 109 is the same thing as sine 71. So if I cross multiply from here, so I will say B is equal to 3.9 times sine 38 degrees all over sine 71 degrees. Sine 71 and sine 109 is the same thing because sine is positive at the second quadrant. And this is going to give us 3.9 multiplied by what is sine 38? Sine 38 is 0.6157 divided by sine 71 is 0.9455. So B will not be equal to, if we multiply that correctly, we get 2.54 kilometers. So B is equal to 2.54 kilometers if we do that correctly. And what is the implication of that? That simply means that the distance of ship A from P is, we just conclude and say the distance of ship A from P is 2.5 kilometers. And that's what we are expected to get. And that's what we have gotten. So please, let's note that if you are asked to find the distance, other distance are bearing, we should be able to interpret the question correctly for us to be able to get what is required. And that is what we have done here. That's what we have done here. So we go ahead and take another question. We'll take another question. So let's take one more question under bearing and distance. And if you have any other question that you are unable to solve under bearing and distance, you can just write at the comment section. I promise to provide solution to that. Okay, so let's take one more question. Then you should be able to understand sine rule and cosine rule very well, so that you'll be able to interpret the question correctly, which is the beauty of this course. Now let's see. Villages A, B, C, D are such that B is 4 kilometers due east of A, comma. There are 4 villages here involved. Villages A, B, C, D are such that B is 4 kilometers due east of A. Then C is 3 kilometers due south of B, and D is 4 kilometers south 50 degrees west from C. So the question answer is calculate the distance, and bearing of A from D. So there are 4 villages involved here, A, B, C, D, such that B is 4 kilometers due east of A. So that's the question that we have. So how do we interpret this? Of course, we start from somewhere, and that is the truth of the matter. So this type of question is actually under compass bearing. So this is the problem at hand, and we must provide solution to this problem. So here we have that villages A, B, C, D are such that B is 4 kilometers due east of A. So we start. B is 4 kilometers due east of A. So let's say this is B, solution. We must interpret the question correctly. If this is B, this is village B, it is 4 kilometers due east. And if this is A, this is A, the east of A is here. So B is 4 kilometers due east of A. So we trace this to B and say this is 4 kilometers. That's what we are given. Okay. Then C is 3 kilometers due south of B. This is north of B. This is south of B. So there's another village here, C, called C. This village C is 3 kilometers due south of B. That simply means that this angle here is 90 degrees because here is east, here is south. The angle between south and east is actually 90 degrees. So we have gotten the angle there. And that is what we have. Okay. And D is 4 kilometers. There is another village D, which is 4 kilometers south, 50 degrees west from C. So this is south, this is west. There's another village which is south. We start from south, 50 degrees towards west. So this is where the angle is. And you said there's another village here called D, which is south, 50 degrees due west. Due west from C. So that is the angle. Okay. So the angle here alternates the one here. So here is 50 degrees. So, and there's connection between, the question was calculate the distance of bearing of A from D. So there's another angle from A from D. Okay. So what we are going to have now is that's what we have. So what will be the whole angle here? The whole angle here, we only know from here to the North Pole. We don't know this small angle. So what will be the angle there? Okay, this is what we have. Of course, we know this side 4. We know this side 3. We don't know this. You can actually call this side small a. We don't know this. We don't know this place, and we are looking for this direction. We are looking for this one. So what will happen? Let's look at it very well. Of course, for me to be able to find distance of A from D, this line, I know this. I know this. I don't know this. I don't know this. I can decide to join this two. I can decide to do that. If I do that, I'm permitted to do that. I can do that. Since I know that this is 90 degrees, this is perpendicular. Then, so that angle ABC is going to form a right angle triangle. And that is what I've decided to do. So I'll just say, consider triangle ABC. I decided to bring out this triangle from the quadrilateral that we sketched out. Then I know that AC squared is equal to AB squared plus BC squared. Pythagoras theorem. I want to know that side. So that's actually Pythagoras theorem. Then AC squared will give me what? AB squared is 4 squared plus 3 squared. And that will be 9. That will be 16. That will be 16 plus 9. That will be 25. The square root of 25 is actually giving me AC. So AC is actually 5 kilometers. So I've been able to get this place to be 5 kilometers. I'm looking for the distance and bearing of A from D. I'm looking for the distance and bearing of A from C. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Then this, if this is side, this angle C here, here will be side C. If this is angle A, if this is angle A, here can be, I can call this place A. Here can be called A. Okay. Then I might try to call this place G. The 5 kilometers that I've got now, I might try to call it G. So we are looking for AD. We are looking for side AD, then angle of A from D. Those are the two things that we want to find. So I've been able to find this point. Then we also look at it again and see what can be done. Okay. So what else can we find from here for us to be able to achieve our answer? So if I now look at it very well, there are some things I can actually do here. If we look at it critically, there are some things that I'll be able to do here. So from here also, I know this angle 90. I know the side that faces this angle. I know this. I know this side. I can actually find this angle. So I can actually find that angle. It's possible I can find the angle. So once I know this angle, or I can actually find this angle. Let me go ahead and find this angle. Let me call this angle theta. The angle here. Or I leave it as let me call it theta. I can get this angle. How do I get this angle? I'm going to apply sine rule. I'm going to apply sine rule there to be able to find that angle. I will also say using sine rule. I know that 4 kilometers all over sine theta, that is this side all over this angle, will be equal to 5 kilometers. 5, let me just put 5 there, all over sine 90 degrees. So if I cross multiply, sine theta can be equal to 4 sine 90 degrees divided by 5. So what is sine 90 degrees? Sine 90 degrees is actually 1. Sine 90 degrees is 1. So that I will have sine theta. Sine theta can be equal to 4 times 1 divided by 5, and that is 4 over 5. So theta will now be arc sine. Theta will be arc sine. 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. And so theta is going to give me 53. It's approximately 53 degrees. So this angle theta here is 53 degrees. So if that angle theta is 53 degrees, then from here, you have to be very careful here. If angle theta is 53 degrees, here is 53 degrees. Theta, let me clean it, is 53 degrees. This place is 50, which alternates to this place to be 50. The leftover here will be 40. 40 degrees, because the angle between west and south is 90. If this place is 53, the leftover here will be 37. That will be 37. Then the combination of this, the whole angle here will be 77 degrees. And that is my aim. So if I know this angle 77, I'm looking for this side, AD, the distance of A from D. I know this angle, I'm looking for this side. If I know this angle, I know this side and this angle, I will be able to do that. So, and that is what we are actually looking for, and that's what we have gotten. So from there now, we don't have much problem. We don't have much problem because we are given from the question, we are given that C is 3 kilometers due south of B, and D is 4 kilometers south, 50 degrees west from C. So we know this place to be 4 kilometers. We know this place to be 4 kilometers, and that is A. So I know this side. I know A. I know A. This side is 4 kilometers. I know this side. I know this side. I know this angle. I can go ahead and find C, which is the distance of A from D. So that's what I'm trying to say. Then what do we do there? So we can actually get the distance of A from D from here. I will use cosine formula. I'll just say using cosine rule. We are looking for small c. C squared will now be equal to what? A squared plus D squared. Now we call this A, and we call this D. Minus 2 AD cos C. What is A? That will be 4 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 4 times 5 cos 77. This is going to give us 16 plus 25 minus 40 cos 45. 77 is 0. Cos 77 is 0.2250. So here I'm going to have 41 minus 40 times 22 is 0.2250 is actually 9. That's actually 9. So that from here now, we say C squared is equal to 32. Then C is equal to square root of 32. Then C is given as 5.65 kilometers. So the first part of the question, we have to calculate the distance and bearing of A from D. So just say the distance of A from D is 5.65 kilometers. So we have gotten the distance. We are left with the bearing. So how do we now find the bearing of A from D? That is what we are left with. We know the distance. We actually know the distance now. We know the distance, but we don't know anything about the bearing. But we have to check. We have to check properly. So how do we now know the distance? How do we know the distance of A? We want to know the distance of A from D. For A, the distance of A from D will simply be is simply from here. For D to be able to locate A, it's going to start from the North Pole. This is 90, 90, 90 to 70 up to this place. So we must know this small angle. When we remove this small angle from 360, that will actually make the distance of A from D. So how do we get that? How do we get that? That is the bone of contention now. I only know one angle. I don't know this angle. If I'm able to get this angle, the angle here, then I can know this small angle. Once I know this place is 37, here is 37. I'll just subtract something from here, then I'll get it. So what do we do? How do we get angle A? So there's need for me to know this angle A. If I know this angle A, then I'll be able to calculate the distance. So let's look at it. What are we going to do here? Can I go ahead and find angle A? Is it possible to get angle A? Yes, because I know side A as 4 kilometers. I'm looking for angle A. I know side D as 5 kilometers. But I don't know angle D. But I now know angle C and side C. So I'll just go ahead and use that formula. I'll go ahead and I want to know this angle A now. The angle A here, angle of inclination A. So what do? I will just go ahead and use sine rule to be able to know that. So that's what I'm going to do. I will say using sine rule. What will happen? If I use sine rule, I will say A all over sine A is equal to, I know C all over sine C. So what is A? A is 4 kilometers. So this will be 4 all over, I'm looking for sine A, angle A, sine A is equal to C is what you have got in 5.65 all over sine 77. C all over sine 77 degrees. If you cross multiply, sine A will actually be 4 times sine 77 degrees all over 5.65. And this is going to give us, from there now, we're going to get, what is sine 77 degrees is 0.9. That will be 4 times 0.9744 divided by 5.65. So sine A, if you use 4 to multiply 0.97 times 44 divided by 5.6, you're going to get 0.6898. So A will actually give us the arc sine of 0.6898. Then A will be equal to 43.5 degrees. So A is approximately 43. A is approximately 43.5 degrees. That is the value of A. A is approximately 43.5 degrees. So since I know A as 43.5 degrees, I can actually find C using sum of angle in a triangle. I can go ahead and find C. So once I know C, I'll be able to, once I know the value of C, I'll just subtract 50 from the value of C to know this small angle. And once I know this small angle here, I'll remove it from 360. That will be the bearing of A from D. So we are about a step to the final answer. Okay, so I'll just say considering triangle A, this is C, ACD, 43.5 degrees plus 77 degrees plus this angle D. Angle D is equal to 180 degrees. Sum of angles in a triangle. Okay, so if I add these two together, 43.5 plus this, that would be 120. 120.5 plus D is equal to 180 degrees. So D will actually be 180 minus 120.5 degrees. So D is equal to 59.5 degrees. So the whole of this angle here is 59.5. And I know that this place is 50. This place is alternate to this place, 50. So the small angle here, the left over here, will be 9.5 degrees. So what is the distance? And what is the bearing of A from D? The bearing of A from D will be, we start from this North Pole, where we have this 50. This is 90, 90, 90, plus the left over here, which that will be 81.5. So we just conclude. We are going to conclude that the bearing of A from D is equal to, the bearing of A from D will be equal to 360 degrees minus 9.5, and that will be 350.5 degrees. That is for D to be able to locate A. It goes to start from the North Pole, that's the starting point, 90, 90, 90, then plus 81.5 here. So that's going to give us 350.5. Or you can write it as compass bearing. This is north, and this here is west. So we are moving from north to west, 9.5 degrees. We are moving 9.5 degrees from north to west. It can be north 9.5 degrees west. So you can actually have it as well, like that. So I would love to stop here because of our time. If you have further questions on the bearings and distance, you can actually write at the comment section. I promise to provide solution to it. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Mathematics made easy, no more fear.